All right, so for today, I'm going to share with you about the case study homework that I asked you all to prepare. Okay, so to begin with, all right, I'd like to highlight to you which questions we will be looking at for tutorial and which questions you'll need to complete. All right, so we are looking at questions A, all right, questions A, questions A to F. All right, so questions A to F to be completed. All right, and I will go through these questions in class, and then at the end of lesson, I'll collect from at least three of you, as I mentioned in the previous tutorial. So please make sure you have got that ready. All right, I won't accept any excuses. Okay, so to begin with, before we look at the questions, let us look at the extract. And I try to go through the extract so that I can highlight and maybe surface certain things that you should look out for as you attempt your homework. So first, all right, we are given this figure one. So every time you are given a figure, always look out for the title. All right, so title here is, the information that you are presented with. So what you have here, you have full day childcare as well as your university fees. So full day childcare fees are represented by the solid line. All right, and then your university fees is represented by the broken dot line. Okay, so you can see how across the years from 2007 to 2016. All right, a general trend that you see here, okay, is that it has been on the rise. All right, so I think that's quite obvious for us to see. So I think as you look through this data, answer question A, right, make use of whatever observation you can in order to answer that question. Moving along, all right, let's look at extract one. So extract one tells us a bit more about early childhood education. So early childhood education is also otherwise known as kindergarten, your preschool. Okay, and I think what this extract tell us is essentially it's trying to express the importance of this preschool education and how learning through play is seen by experts to be quite essential, quite vital. All right, so down here we see, all right, stop playing must be one of the most common phrases. However, we are cautioned here that we should not underestimate the importance of learning through play. All right, so play engages children's attention in authentic hands-on tasks. So this lecturer in early childhood education has highlighted that, and I think it shared further about how learning through play, all right, children can be able to learn sharing skills, playing fair, not hitting one another, and putting back where they were found. Social skills as well, positive behaviors and values that can help a person through life. So life skills as well. All right. So all this highlighting the importance of play-based approach, which countries such as Finland and Canada have employed with success, as you can see. All right. So Singapore's MOE talks about purposeful play as well, where teachers intentionally plan the play experiences and organize environment to enhance learning. Of course, your batch of students, you all won't have actually experienced this, I believe. But I think increasingly in the primary school and the preschool that we have today, I think this is an element that I think teachers, schools, they are playing, they're having more of this play in mind. All right. So going through this whole extract, you should be able to see what they're trying to express. Essentially, the importance of your early child education, importance of play, all right. If we look at extract two, all right, looking at the title, we see putting a price on childcare. The costlier, the better. A question mark. So some of the parents have been actually, some of the parents they have actually highlighted that they see this uh, relationship. All right, they think that, oh, the more I pay, the better the childcare service would be. Because they say that higher fees here ultimately means that these operators will have more funds to offer better facilities as well as higher pay to attract your teachers. All right, but I think parents should also consider other factors. All right, and that include interaction between teachers and children as well as the center's engagement with parents. All right, so centers which charge low fees may also have good quality. So this was shared by one of the preschool founder, Mrs. Madam Koo. All right, and why is that so? It's because there are government grants that help to keep your fees low. And in order to qualify these grants, they usually have stricter quality requirements. All right, and you know, increasingly, especially in Singapore, all right, we are having this luxury good problem in which parents perceive more expensive programs to be better. Somehow, you pay more, you feel, wow, this program is so much better compared to the other one that's much cheaper. So I think it is important to help parents here to distinguish matters that are important and call for development. So one way is for background checks to be done, as well as to ensure that centers here are licensed. And usually centers with a 24-month tenure are considered to have exceeded requirements. All right. So these are things that we see perspective of your preschool operator. All right. One highlighting that low fees doesn't necessarily mean that quality wise it's any poorer compared to a school with higher school fees lah. All right. Then from the government perspective, they are also doing the necessary groundwork. They are also making sure that preschool centers are actually licensed, and if you do not have the necessary license, you need to get yourself registered. Otherwise, you are against the law. Okay. Extract 3. All right. Extract 3 is something that is more relevant and more something that will impact you guys lah in the next few years or so. All right. University cost rising. All right. And this is something that we are experiencing. All right. Because it is found that the cost of attending university has jumped 38% since 2007. All right. So that's quite significant, 38%. Okay, and Singaporean families spend more than $1 billion on university tuition. Down here, tuition is not your private tuition, those kind of tuition here is your school fees, compared to $650 million a decade earlier. So that explains the 38% jump lah. All right, a decade earlier it spent lesser. All right, but today, I'm sorry, not today, in 2014, about $1 billion. All right, and what is the reason for that? They highlighted that possibly it's because of increased labor costs in Singapore being a factor in the big jump in university costs. But that didn't paint the entire picture. Okay, there is also population growth lah during that period. Okay, so these are the possible reasons why university fees have actually increased through the years. So labor costs, population growth. All right, last extract here that we're looking at: education, public good or private good. Okay, so this is something that you may want to ask yourself as well. All right, in order for it to be considered as a public good, what are the two characteristics that you require? All right, if you say non-rivalrous in consumption, as well as non-excludable. All right, what do we mean by non-rivalrous in consumption? What do we mean by non-excludable? All right, when we say non-rivalrous, what it means is that the consumption by one individual does not leave less available for the others. So something that's rivalrous is, for example, like a pizza. You have this pizza, You cut into 10 slices. If you take one slice away, you leave one less for the rest to consume. So that, in effect, is the idea of rivalrous in consumption. All right, so for a public good, it is non-rivalrous in consumption. What do we mean by non-excludable? Non-excludable here means that people who don't pay also get to enjoy the good. So for education, is it rivalrous, non-rivalrous? Is it excludable, non-excludable? That's something for you to consider. All right, and something that I believe the extract will try to address as well. So if we look at the extract, we see people with a university education earn more than others, but the higher earnings do not reflect the whole of their contribution. Others who work with them earn higher wages as well because of the added flexibility, innovation, and productivity of the labor force. People with a university education tend to be more active citizens, with their voluntary and other activities benefiting those around them. More new products, services for all of us to enjoy. So all these things, what do you think they're trying to tell you? Positive externalities? All right. Third parties. Who are the third parties? All right. Try to figure it out on your own. Benefits here are shared by the participants and the rest of society. It would be inefficient not to subsidize university and their students. People will, as a result, underinvest if they had to pay the full cost because they will not choose to foot the bill for the benefits shared by all members of the society. So therefore, this extract believes that government have an interest in funding education, but it's not a sufficient argument for government to operate schools. Since education fails both parts of the public good definition, free rider problem does not exist and we do not need the government to operate schools. If government is not necessary, we should not promote policies towards that end. All right, so you can see how they address, is it seen as a public or is it a private good? So through the discussion, I hope you are able to actually understand how to address some of the questions that follows. All right, so as I mentioned, this one you need to look at no, it's not extract one, it's figure one. Okay, this one requires you to look at extract 4. What is a positive statement? Go and check what it means when we talk about positive economic statement, positive versus normative statement. Positive statement usually are statements that are factual. Okay. This one we have also mentioned. This one you have to use demand, supply, analysis. All right. What are the impact of this increased labor cost and population growth? How will it affect the market? We need to talk about equilibrium, price, and equilibrium quantity. Okay, definition of PED I've mentioned to you, you need to know, so you should be able to explain that. All right, use concept of PED. All right, why household expenditure has increased. Okay, how do we relate household expenditure? All right, what is total expenditure? PED, there's a relationship to total revenue. And total expenditure is the same as total revenue. It's just which perspective you are taking. Total expenditure, you are looking at things from consumers' point of view. Because what you spend, which is also known as expenditure, is coming from the consumers, whereas what you receive as revenue is coming from perspective of your producers. So total expenditure will at the end of the day be equal to what producers actually receive. So if these two are equal, so in order to answer this question, use PED to figure out what will happen to your total expenditure. All right. Okay, question E, factors for consideration might use to decide extent of subsidies. So what are the factors for consideration? What are the areas to consider? So to answer this question, all right, what are the areas to consider? You probably want to use your decision making framework. All right, last but not least, whether there is a need for government intervention. All right, so is there a need for government intervention or not? So you need to talk about it in terms of market failure. Okay, so with that, I'll end today's recording. And if you have any questions, feel free to come and ask me. All right, so make sure you get your work done. No excuses.